if Theresa May wins this vote tomorrow night, I'll give you this personal pledge: I will shut up about Brexit. Because Parliament expresses the will of the people. The sovereign in Parliament is the will of the British people. And even if she only wins by one vote, then there'll be a very interesting debate about the future trading agreement. I will take part in it, but the existential debate will be over. We will leave the European Union on the 29th of March. Okay, if she doesn't win, I would expect a reciprocal attitude from those who have promoted Brexit so far. Because if she doesn't win, she had one job, just one thing to do. That's what she called the 2017 election about, Brexit. She had one thing to deliver it. She will have failed to deliver it. And I think the Labour front bench is absolutely right, and I would hope that all the other opposition party front benches understand this. Her job then is to dissolve Parliament. This place has no right to sit if it cannot deliver what that referendum was asked for. As you've just said, Richard, there is an interregnum, and again, John McDonnell, Shadow Chancellor, welcomed this morning, welcomed the idea that a cross-party group of MPs, whether it's the committee chair people or not, or some bigger group, takes control of the agenda. But as you've just explained, the EU cannot negotiate with Parliament. It has to negotiate with the government, and so therefore the government question is unavoidable. That's why I support the idea of a no-confidence motion. I hope by the next couple of days we'll see a no-confidence motion tabled, and then MPs can debate it. If not, and if the MPs can't come up with a majority for something in the Parliament, the logical thing is to throw it back to people. And that's where tonight we want to try and focus the discussion there. To our colleagues in the Labour Party who are very, very set on the idea of a general election and no confidence, so are we, as I've just explained. But you always have to have a plan B, and no plan survives contact with the enemy in any case. And there are many potential adversaries in this situation. So what we want to talk about tonight is what happens if we get a second referendum. We want to fight it to win it. And let's be absolutely clear. In the second referendum, there will be no intermediate positions. There will be the Tory deal, there will be no deal. I think it's likely that no deal will get onto the agenda. And let's remember what that means. Whoever becomes the no deal official campaign gets the right to pump xenophobic white nationalist nonsense into the living rooms of Britain on the taxpayer. Okay? Certainly via the BBC. They get equal rights. In other words, something you did not see before. Now, in counterweight to that, what would a Remain 2.0 campaign look like? This is my personal view of it. One of the aims of the ad hoc group that's called this meeting together is to try and, of course, understand that there will be many different flavours of Remain 2.0, and what I'm about to say is just one, but it's one that I would like the right to have heard in a Remain 2.0 campaign. I've toured Europe in the last 12 months talking to social democratic politicians, think tanks, businesses, who often ask me this question: how could we, the German social democrats or the Austrians or the Dutch on 5%, do what Corbyn has done? And I always say to them something that makes their faces go a bit white, and that is, forget the Lisbon Treaty. Forget the idea of the Lisbon Treaty that's in your head and think of a new one. Because that's how we got the Lisbon Treaty, that's how we got Maastricht. We got it through a process of innovation within Europe and discussion. We need to raise the flag for a Europe of social justice, high welfare, high wages, and democracy. You may know the mayor of Gdansk was murdered. He died a few hours ago by he's a member of the Civic Platform Party, a centre-right party, pro-LGBT, who was stabbed yesterday and he died today. Probably, it seems like by an individual person. But this violence, the anti-political violence is growing. So we need a new vision for Europe, and I would hope that the Remain campaign that we for this time would be that. One of social justice, one of democracy, one of the rule of law. These things seem axiomatic. There also has to be, I would argue, in the next Remain campaign, a fairly open argument that goes like this. Minus opaque foreign money, minus overt law breaking by the Leave campaign, you're going to find it quite hard to win this. But if you do, let's be clear who is behind it. Brexit is not the project of Vladimir Putin, but it just so happens that in Brexit 2.0, that is the second referendum campaign, Vladimir Putin will try to play it. And everybody, in the Labour constituencies, the Tory loyal constituencies, of course, people, strongly support the national security of this country. The national security of this country is being played by Vladimir Putin, and we need to make sure that argument is there. Finally, a lot of people in our movement, the Labour Party, overtly say, look, we want to avoid the culture war. We want to avoid politics descending into what it's become in America, where there's no middle ground, where it's now a little bit like in Northern Ireland, a mobilisation battle. You mobilise your own people, and you're not really trying to convince. I really hope we can avoid that too. But unfortunately, in the areas where Labour is campaigning, the marginal areas, places like where I come from, Wigan and Leeds, that culture war already exists. In the pubs and clubs where my colleagues in the Labour Party are campaigning, and have been doing for years actually against UKIP, it is Corbynist Labour, left Labour anyway, Brownite Labour, UKIP, and right-wing, alt-right Tories. There's no liberalism, there's no centre in a town like that. Now, for our working class supporters, the culture war began 5 years ago, and we need to help them win it. I pay tribute to the People's Vote campaign. I signed, my purpose for signing their petition was to try and make sure they didn't hand all the names over to, as yet unannounced, centrist party, so that I could have a kind of skin in the game. I don't really support the way they've done it, but I pay tribute to them for one thing. They have avoided becoming the plaything of a centrist party in formation. Good, fantastic, kudos. But I don't think the PV campaign and all its little constituent offshoots can fight the kind of cultural warfare that we, the Labour movement, and the other progressive parties are going to have to fight in the communities that are going to matter. And the culture war is not something that one should relish, but as I say, it begins. But to fight it intelligently means you have to be able to do something that maybe many people in this room, not me, some people in this room, may have spent a lot of time championing at the bit against populism. We're going to have to fight a populist Remain 2.0 campaign. I'm very willing to take part in it, and it means saying the British national interest lies in remaining in Europe, reforming in Europe, reforming its institutions, and thwarting Vladimir Putin's attempt to break Europe up for political reasons. I think that is a message that we can win on, and there are lots of positives that we could go with as well. There's lots of pride in being British and in Europe, and we need to mobilise young people. We've got plenty of young people around this table, I'm not going to talk about that. But that's my view of the kind of direction the alliance assembled here today could go if we end up with the second referendum.